I'd say on a day-to-day basis, the overwhelming amount of good policing continues to retain the support of the majority of every single community in our city boundaries.
But even with that support, stopping violent crime remains a challenge, and not just here in Baltimore, but in Milwaukee, Wisconsin as well. We chat with their police chief about his department's strategy. Right now, we want to welcome Milwaukee's police chief, Ed Flynn, on the show today. And we invited you on, Chief, because unfortunately our two cities share a distinction that we really don't want to, and that's a spike in violent crime. And just talk to me a little bit about what the average cop, since you're 7 years there in Milwaukee, what your average cop sees on the street that's changed over the last 7 years.
What we're seeing is a volume change. The dynamics remain the same. The dynamics in Milwaukee, as in virtually every one of the other 35 cities experiencing significant increases in homicide, are young African-American men with firearms using them to settle disputes. And those disputes are between young men who have generally extensive criminal records. That's been the leading cause of our homicide for the last 8 years. What's different is the dynamic of the quantity. It's just dramatically increased. And that's what the chiefs in these cities are trying to get their arms around. You know, we recognize, you know, the drivers of homicide. What's surprising is those same drivers have resulted in such a significant increase.
Sure, and you know, you're talking about possibly seeing some of the same faces, repeat offenders. I know our state's attorney here dealing a lot with, when she ran for office, saying that repeat offenders is where it starts for her. Talk to me about Milwaukee. Do you see the same faces, and what needs to be done to cut that off?
Well, there are a couple of things to look at. One thing that would be very helpful is thoughtful study, quite honestly. We've all got theories, and too often our knee-jerk theories drive policy before the facts are in. What we do know is that we ran the numbers a couple of years ago. The average offender's got 18 prior arrests, and the average victim's got 11 prior arrests. That's pretty significant engagement with the criminal justice system, which indicates that their engagement has not deterred them. The other challenge we have is the following. Right now, the system is very self-conscious about the issue of mass incarceration. That discussion drives a lot of public policy debate, but unfortunately that discussion seems to be happening totally absent any concern about the mass victimization of African Americans in our central cities. If you're an African American in my city, your homicide rate is 138 per 100,000. If you're white, it's 18. If you're a white person, there's a chance, 47 chances out of 100,000 you might get shot. If you're African American, it's 848. So we've got a very intense and dramatic dynamic of heavily involved people heavily involved in the criminal justice system, gaining access to firearms, and as I say, using them to settle disputes, but it's overwhelmingly victimizing the most vulnerable communities we have, which are neighborhoods characterized by intergenerational poverty and inhabited by poor people of color.
When it comes to the crime fight, a lot of police departments, both here and there in Milwaukee, crime fighting and stats give them a lot of things to base where they'll send a squad car or how you'll handle crime. But also, old-fashioned police work does the same. Weigh both of those and the importance of both crime fighting stats and also feet on the ground.
Well, feet on the ground for us has to do with having a community-based strategy that connects you to the neighborhoods that are most vulnerable. You solve crimes with information. People give information to folks they trust. That requires some form of relationship building. Now, we do a pretty assertive data-driven policing here, where we put cops in the hot spots, and we pay very great attention to our high-value targets, our chronic offenders. But we also recognize that when you do assertive policing, you've got to do something inside the neighborhood where people are feeling protected rather than harassed, and that's a balancing act. And so we make major investments in things like foot and bicycle patrols, and block watch building, and neighborhood capacity building, even as we are working very, very hard to kind of lean forward into the crime problem and reduce it through conventional police tactics. But those tactics have to be embedded in some level of community and neighborhood support. And that's an ongoing challenge for policing, but one that we have to take very seriously.
At least here, as we talk to our state's attorney and police as well, they're saying that there's this perception, and it probably is more than a perception, that trust is what's missing. They see a squad car come into a neighborhood, and it's not officer-friendly anymore. And so you have this challenge ahead of you. How do you turn the tide? How do you make this trust factor something that people believe in? And I'm guessing you have to start young to build the trust.
Well, I think it's important to recognize that it's very dangerous to generalize about any community. And for some reason, people feel quite free to generalize about feelings of the African American community inhabiting neighborhoods that are challenged by crime and poverty. You've gone to community meetings as a reporter here, and I'm sure in Baltimore. And what do you see? No matter what neighborhood the police are in, the folks at that meeting want more policing. They want to see more safety. They want to see the criminals backed off. But then there's a critical incident somewhere, and a whole other group of folks come out of the woodwork to talk about the horrors of police abuse. What I urge in my community, and what I'm working hard to create, is to stop the parallel conversations. You can't disaggregate police tactics from the communities that are asking to be protected because of their high rate of crime victimization. In that context, when there are problems in terms of how the police are perceived or how they are perceived to be behaving, that conversation has to take place at the same time. The community demands more police protection. They get more police protection, and then somebody decides that they're getting too much police protection. You can't argue with the facts. If you're a poor person of color in a challenged neighborhood, your chances of being the victim of a violent crime are astronomically higher than anybody else's. And the only one there to do anything about it in real time is the cops. And so the conversation is, how do we keep doing that in a way that protects you, while at the same time recognizing that trust builds relationships and relationships solve crime.
A lot of people are putting faith into a different kind of camera, police body cameras. Do you think that that ends up helping both sides in the end? Transparency for those on one side of the law, but also protection on the side that's wearing the badge?
Well, our police officers are totally in favor of getting body cameras because they are convinced, and certainly our experience is, that it will overwhelmingly exonerate them of any false accusations of misconduct and provide terrific evidence for criminal cases. Having said that, there has not been a lot of discussion from the side of society that demanded the police get cameras about the privacy rights of Americans. We intervene in some of the most intimate and stressful family situations imaginable. And the challenge is, okay, now we're going to record it. We're going to protect ourselves from false accusations and get evidence, but that's not going to be a public record. And do Americans want that to be a public record, absent, accusations of wrongdoing or criminality? We're all developing policies to try to address those issues, but I think from a macro level, they're unresolved. And I'd also say the following: the people that are committed to being against the police, nothing we do will change their mind. Our challenge is to get beyond the talking heads and into the neighborhood and demonstrate by our actions and with our accountability systems, because we'll have a camera with our badge, that we're there for them. We're trying to do the right thing and overwhelmingly do it.
The chief also spoke about recruitment, calling on communities to help in the crime fight by encouraging young people interested in law enforcement to join the ranks and help in protecting the very communities that they live in.